So I'm told that deep in the Arizona desert, there's a place where locals refuse to go after dark. A remote canyon where the wind carries sounds that shouldn't exist. The screams of children who died over a century ago, and the wails of a mother driven to unspeakable horror. This is Slaughterhouse Canyon, and tonight I'm going to tell you why it's considered one of the most haunted locations in the American Southwest. The story takes us back to the 1800s, during Arizona's mining boom. A family, a husband, wife, and their children, lived in a small cabin nestled in what's now known as Slaughterhouse Canyon, located in the Superstition Mountains near the town of Kingman. The father worked in the nearby mines, leaving each day before sunrise and returning after sunset. It was hard, dangerous work, but it provided for his family. Every week he'd make the long trek into town to collect his wages and buy supplies, flour, beans, dried meat, whatever they needed to survive in that harsh desert landscape. One week the father left for town as usual, but he never came back. Days turned into weeks. The mother and children waited, their supplies dwindling. Maybe he'd been injured in a mine collapse. Maybe he'd gotten lost in the desert. Or maybe, and this is what some versions of the story suggest, he'd simply abandoned them, running off with another woman or to start a new life elsewhere. The mother searched their meager stores. There was almost nothing left. She watched her children grow thinner, their eyes hollow with hunger. Their cries for food echoed through the canyon walls. As the days wore on, the mother's desperation turned to something darker: isolation, starvation, and the relentless cries of her starving children began to crack her sanity. Some say she could hear voices in the canyon, whispering to her, telling her there was only one way to end their suffering. And then, one night, she made a terrible decision. According to the legend, the mother took a knife from the kitchen. One by one, she went to her children. In her fractured mind, she believed she was saving them from a slow, agonizing death by starvation. She thought she was being merciful. When the gruesome act was complete, the full horror of what she'd done crashed over her. Standing in that blood-soaked cabin, surrounded by the bodies of her own children, her mind finally shattered completely. She fled into the canyon, knife still in hand, screaming into the darkness. The legend says she ran until she reached the edge of a cliff, and there, whether by accident or by choice, she fell to her death on the rocks below. But death, according to the legend, was not the end. Local tales claim that the mother's spirit still wanders Slaughterhouse Canyon, forever searching for her children, unable to rest because of the terrible things she did. Visitors to the area report hearing the sound of a woman screaming and crying, echoing off the canyon walls. The sound seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Others claim to hear children's voices, laughing, playing, and sometimes crying, carried on the desert wind. Some have reported seeing small, shadowy figures darting between the rocks and brush, always staying just at the edge of visibility. The most chilling reports come from those who've ventured near the canyon at night. They describe seeing a figure in an old-fashioned dress, wandering near the cliff edges, her arms outstretched as if reaching for something. When people call out to her, she turns, and her face is twisted in an expression of absolute anguish and madness. Some brave or foolish souls have tried to explore the area where the cabin supposedly stood, but many report an overwhelming sense of dread, the feeling of being watched, or even being physically pushed or touched by unseen hands. Now, here's where things get interesting. Like many urban legends, the story of Slaughterhouse Canyon has several variations, and pinning down the historical truth is nearly impossible. First, the location itself is disputed. Some say it's in the Superstition Mountains. Others claim it's near Kingman. Some versions place it in completely different parts of Arizona altogether. This vagueness is typical of urban legends. They become untethered from specific locations, allowing the story to spread and adapt. Historians and researchers have tried to find records of this tragedy, newspaper accounts, death certificates, mining records, anything that would confirm the story actually happened. So far, no one has found definitive proof. But does that matter to the legend? Not really. The story persists because it taps into deep fears, abandonment, starvation, the breakdown of sanity, and the horror of a parent harming their children. It's a cautionary tale that reflects the real dangers and hardships of frontier life. And whether or not the specific events occurred, there's no denying that many families in the 1800s did face starvation, isolation, and tragedy in the harsh Arizona desert. The legend of Slaughterhouse Canyon may be an amalgamation of many such stories, distilled into one particularly haunting tale. Today, thrill seekers and paranormal enthusiasts still search for Slaughterhouse Canyon, hoping to experience something supernatural. Some claim to have heard the screams. Others insist they've captured strange images or EVP recordings. Skeptics dismiss it all as wind, wildlife, and overactive imaginations fed by a creepy story. But on quiet desert nights, when the wind howls through the canyons and plays tricks with sound, it's easy to understand why this legend has endured for over a century. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's something undeniably eerie about the thought of a desperate mother and her children, lost to time and tragedy, still echoing through the Arizona desert. So if you ever find yourself hiking through the remote canyons of Arizona and you hear what sounds like a woman's scream or children's laughter where no one should be, maybe it's just the wind, or maybe, just maybe, you've stumbled upon Slaughterhouse Canyon, or so I'm told.